Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I want to start out by telling everybody I'm sorry I've been AWOL for the last couple of weeks. Had a lot going on with work, a lot going on with family, and fired up Friday videos. I've got a couple in mind, but I can't get outside to do them because we're under a statewide burn ban right now. So those, unfortunately, if I do any, are going to be stuck to doing them here on the bench. And nothing wrong with those, but I like to try things different. I've got one now that I'm going to try that involves jumper cables and a wooden pencil in a car, so that ought to be interesting. But I digress. Back to why we're here. Today, I am going to be doing a knife show Sunday video on the T.O.P.S Mpat. I just got this yesterday. I ordered it from Justin at the Gear Shack. He reached out, wanted to hold on to it for himself for a little while and do some videos with it and carry it and take time to do his thoughts on it. He's put out a couple of videos on it. He did a batoning video, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But got this knife yesterday, handled it quite a bit in the last little bit. I've already done about that much, just whittling with it, notches, that kind of stuff, just seeing what it felt like, for lack of a better way of putting it. So the outdoor review on this should be interesting. Modifications on this should be interesting, but that's for other videos down the road. So first of all, let's get into the knife and talk about that. It is made by T.O.P.S. It is 1095. It has a Rockwell of 56 to 58. They do an incredible job with their differentiated heat treatment. The overall length on this knife is 9 3/4 inches. The blade length is just shy of 5 inches. I think it's 4.88. The actual cutting edge length is 4 3/4. The knife by itself weighs 7.2 ounces. And the knife with the sheath weighs 10.2 ounces. Now, a little bit of history about this knife. This knife was designed by Seth Brown. He's also the same individual that designed the T.O.P.S Brush Wolf. Seth is a Air Force crewman, and he designed this knife to be a tool for air crew and pilots. Mpat, according to Seth, stands for Multi Purpose Aircraft Tool, or Airman's Tool, I think. So here is the big kicker with this knife, is the thickness or the thinness, whichever. The blade is 3/16 of an inch, but look how thin those handle scales are. This whole knife is about, handle scales and everything, about a 1/2 inch thick. So that's incredibly thin for a profile. Now, let's talk about initial first impressions. This knife is incredibly light and nimble for the size. It feels really lively in the hand. It doesn't matter how you grip it, it feels good and it feels secure in the hand. Even in a reverse grip, everything just locks into place. There's no worry or fear of having that hand slide up and down on that handle no matter what you're doing with it. Very, very impressed with this. The main reason I wanted this is for work. because it's so thin. And then plus the sheath is designed, for lack of a better way of putting it, which you'll get this in a second, is designed to keep the knife put. It comes with 2 spring clips, and I think everybody at some point or the other has had some dealings with T.O.P.S spring clips. They hold incredibly well, almost to the point of being a pain to get them back off once you get them clipped on something. And then the sheath, no rattle and real tight. But then they throw in a retention strap as well. Those are some of the reasons why I like this knife for work and what caused me to purchase it. I like the design, I like the looks of it, but that was some of the main reasons. Is so thin. Even with the sheath, you're looking at about 3/4 of an inch thick, and that's it. So extremely, extremely thin profile. Now, some of the things that I like about this knife is, like I said, the design, the weight, the thickness, all of that. Really, really like this. Using it to make feathers, notches, and so forth, it's very, very comfortable, with the exception of 2 things. Certain ways of holding this knife to do fine task, this little thing right here is a little sharp on the edges, right on the outside of both sides. It's not this way, it's coming in on that. So I'm gonna have to round that off just a little bit to try and get rid of those sharp points right there on each side. And I'm almost positive what causes that is where the micarta comes out, and it's just a little sharp point on the micarta. The other thing is this right here. If you've got your hand way back on this and don't watch what you're doing, that little thing wants to bite into the finger. So I may kind of round that off a little bit, because if you look, that is, get my hand up there, a very, very sharp point. It's rounded off well here, and here it's just right on the end is very sharp, so I may have to round that off. Other than that, that's the only complaints I have with this knife, are those 2 sharp spots. Everything else is perfect. It is a good choice for a lightweight, thin survival knife. At 3/16 thick, it is the same thickness as the SE Laser Strike, same thickness as the SE6, and everybody's seen what I've done with them, so I have no doubt this is going to be just as capable. One thing that I do like with this one, if you look at it, it carries a lot of the blade thickness all the way out to about right there before it starts really tapering down. Dislikes other than the handle, the 2 sharp spots on the handle, is the hardware that comes with the sheath. I'm not sure why they done this, but if you look, the screw for the snap is a Phillips. All the other screws require a 3/32 Allen wrench. And once you get those screws loose, to put it back together, you have to stick something in to hold that piece in place and to keep it from turning, because the rubber washers that they put in here have a incredibly large hole in it. Hang on a second, let me pull one of them out and I'll show you what I'm talking about. here's the hardware that goes in, and there's the washer that they use as a spacer. Look at the size difference. You can almost put the hardware through the hole in the middle of the washer. So it causes a lot of issues when you try to switch the configuration around. You have to have something, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You have to have something go in behind that keeper to keep it in place so that you can put the screw back in, because it will not stay put without something holding it. And me myself on that, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to have to order a set of hardware from U.S.A.F, because the U.S.A.F washers actually are snug enough that once you put the hardware through, the washer will hold the hardware in place until you get the screw in it. So don't think that was very thought out, unless their plan is somebody's going to get this knife, set it up a certain configuration, and never change it. And if that's what you're planning on doing, you're not planning on changing it to do scout carry or anything like that, then no issues. Fight with it a little bit, get it set up, and then it's good to go. Justin worked with this knife for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Did one light batoning video, and that is the result of that batoning video. Can't tell whether that's down to the metal. Doesn't look like it. It almost looks like there's a gray primer coat of some kind underneath the tan finish. So even with that down, here, let me do this real quick. Hold up just a second, let me flip it. Even with that, as you can see right there, it doesn't look like it's down to the metal on either side. It almost looks like there's a gray primer coat underneath that finish. So, not sure on the finish yet. Time will tell. T.O.P.S finish are usually really rough. This one's not. It's very, very smooth, and I like that. I'm just hoping that it holds up. So, overall, I think this would be a great lightweight survival knife. It will probably definitely be able to take the abuse. I have no doubts. But keep in mind that you may have to make a few modifications. Now, those sharp edges that I was talking about, if you're an individual that wears gloves all the time, you'll never notice it. It's just barehanded. I do like the fuller. I have found with that it makes it real easy to choke up on that blade if you're wanting to do something fine with the point. That fuller that's in there works great to help keep a good secure grip on that blade. So as a bushcraft knife, I think once those few little sharp points are gone, it will really excel. Time will tell. But as a survival / tactical knife, I think Seth nailed it. I think he did a heck of a job with it. So let's see what happens when I finally get this thing out on the stump and start beating on it. As far as modifications, like I said, the two little places on the handle, probably going to redo the grind on this. This grind angle is at about 25 degrees. I'll probably drop it back to a 20. I have found with all my other knives that 5 degrees change in the angle of the blade grind greatly increases the cutting performance and doesn't hurt the toughness of the edge. So there we go. This one got a little long-winded and I apologize, but there was a lot to go over. So like, share, subscribe, and I'll get another video up for you soon.